Recording in progress.
Good evening. Welcome to the Thursday, September 4th, 2025 meeting of the Conservation Commission. We're going to begin right away with continued notice of intent. SE 832494 Cape Cod Engineering for RJ Resorts, Blue Water Resort, owner LLC, 291 and 301.
Dave, can you use the mic, please?
Is it on now?
It's on now.
Okay. Do I have to start again?
I would, yeah.
All right.
Mention that we're also.
I'll start again because my mic wasn't on. SE 832494, continued notice of intent, Cape Cod Engineering Incorporated for RJ Resorts, Blue Water Resort, owner LLC, 291 and 301 South Shore Drive, proposed seasonal deck on a coastal beach, velocity flood zone, and national heritage habitat. With all those words, we're still going to continue it anyway to 9/18 at the request of the petitioners.
They've requested October 2nd instead.
Okay.
Need a motion to continue.
Okay.
I'll motion to continue to August 2nd, October 2nd.
I will second that motion to
Okay.
continue.
October 2nd. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, no one's opposed, so there we go. First one done. All right.
Do you have to sign anything?
Nope.
Okay.
Okay. Next order of business is another continued notice of intent, SE 83-2492, Down Cape Engineering for Natasha and Oliver Bromst, 88 and 100 Mill Lane, proposal to establish a farm with fencing in riverfront area, land subject to coastal storm flowage, and buffer zones to a coastal bank, salt marsh, and BVM. We're going to focus on the requests we had for Dan and Down Cape Engineering, which includes but not limited to fencing, berms, and perhaps something else, stormwater management.
Do you want me to, are there enough here to distribute, or are these just for reference?
There's 3 full-size, and I've got 10 reduced. If you want smaller copies, I've got plenty of those.
Yeah, why don't you just, are you going to be talking about the revisions?
Yeah, we'll do both.
Okay.
But let me hand this out, just
Yeah, that
a
would be
couple
great.
extra.
Thank you.
Thanks. Is there a big one I can have? Because I forgot mine. Thank you. This is the irrigation one, okay.
Good evening, Chairman, members of the commission. As you mentioned, my name is Dan Orgula. I'm a land surveyor and also a professional civil engineer, and helping Oliver Bromst and his wife Natasha, who are farmers from New York, moving a small commercial operation up to the old Belzekian farmstead area that was created in the early 80s from an older cleared area on the north side. So there's a barn there already. The changes, as we discussed at the last meeting, it's a suitable site for a farm. There's a nice big fenced garden already. We'll be reutilizing that. The revisions which came in,
Sorry, can everybody hear him? Is it quiet? Yeah, you can? Oh, okay, I thought you was.
sounds like it's a little feedback.
Yeah, the microphone sounds a bit fuzzy.
Try this one.
Try enunciating. Is that maybe a little bit better?
Try using that one. It sounds
Yeah.
fine on my end.
Okay,
Okay.
he switched.
Yeah.
That and a little bit of ragweed doesn't combine well, but again, it's a site which doesn't need much work. A predecessor board of yours approved all the fencing that's there, all the clearing, the barn, the garden, the farm pond, all the work that's there was previously permitted. Wasn't an active commercial farm allegedly, that's why Brittany wanted this filed as an NOI, so we brought it in, working with you folks. And some of the questions came up where the buffer to the wetland, and again, that was allowed and located and certificate of compliance and has been maintained ever since, but we're pulling that back. Newer changes were made. We put the 8-foot buffer in that we had discussed. We added some swales and a trailer area. The latest changes, which Brittany mentioned today, that, can you do anything additional on the buffer and against the farm pond? Could you perhaps find it in your hearts to put a little buffer over there? And so we said, sure, we'll do that. And so the latest plans that I just handed out tonight increase the buffers even further. We introduced on the west side of the farm pond a full 10-foot of lawn. It's just mowed grass down to the cattails right now. So we're pulling that back and doing native plantings. Natasha is a quite good gardener, and she'll be happy to put in blueberries and all kinds of native shrubs in there, working with Brittany on that. And then instead of an 8-foot, we went to 10-foot, a double-digit minimum buffer. And again, some areas are 15 to 20 feet existing on the east side. And so I hatched it in so it makes it a little bit more clear the work that's to be done. And that's a surveyed edge of clearing line to the fence line. It represents a pretty significant amount of area over there. And then I clarified there's a 2-foot mow strip, so just like a little lawn boy mower. And what that does is where the grapevines try and get into the natives, we'll simply be able to weed whack and mow back a little 2-foot strip on the inside of that. Then you've got the vegetation can go right over the swale, and then you've got the fence. So at a very minimum, you've got 10 feet of buffer between the wetland and the farm field. And again, this is, I would characterize as a lightly used farm field. You've got miniature Nigerian dwarf goats there. They're not large hoofed animals by any means. And they've got a nice, big, adequate area. The feeding areas per the farm plan, the run-in shelter are all away from the edge of the wetland. And so we feel that with the addition of that swale, so we made it 10 feet and we kept the swale. And what the bermed swale will do is it'll be, if you get an initial storm, it'll capture that flow, which we call basically a first flush system, which holds that water and infiltrates it and filters it. So that'll be, in my opinion, better than a 15-foot strip. You've got 10 feet with a berm in swale, and the NRCS guidelines, some of them do mention a 15-foot buffer. So we feel that the swale plus 10 feet is easily equal to a 15-foot native buffer, where water could theoretically sheet right down unimpeded. So, and again, this is, I would characterize as slightly less sensitive over there on the east. The Mill Lane side, there was talk about commercial shellfish and so forth, so we're happy to see that almost all of the pasturing is on the east side of the site, down gradient. And then we introduced up, it's outside of your jurisdiction, but that Node F covers the manure composting area, which again, Natasha enjoys organic type gardening and properly composting. You don't put raw manure out. You compost it, and properly it kills the pathogens with heat and breaks down the bacteria. It's a biological process, breaks down and makes it excellent fertilizer for her vegetable and flower garden. And so but in an abundance of caution, and again, it's a level floor, and the roof is pitched and goes to gutters to dry wells per Node A, and it's a properly sized dry well. I do drainage for a living, and that's an adequately sized system. For belts and suspenders, we introduced Note E on the plan. It's a proposed fence and swale on that upper pasture. And what that does is it takes the gradient line from the top and rolls around and takes any water that comes off of that hill and shunts it to the north across the gravel drive, spreads it out into the pasture. And so you wouldn't have any water, even if some did somehow escape from that pad going towards the Mill Lane side. So that's, like I say, we feel a belt and suspenders proposition for this project is for extra safety. So I think that covers mainly, the changes. Again, it's especially the changes since a week when we submitted them on August 28th. That was an 8-foot buffer, the swales and the trailer storage down below. We pulled away the gravel to the trailer. We pointed out that it only gets emptied once a week with a little tractor, so we don't really need gravel down there. And so we took that out. We added a 2-foot strip, additional all along the 850 feet on the east side. And again, added the note C is the area to the west. So very importantly, when you look at the balance of this, is it a good project, is it not? Again, we're taking permitted existing lawn and/or pasture, however you want to define it, would probably lean towards pasture, but even if it's lawn and pulling that back, you're getting 4,071 square foot of new mitigation plantings on the site, and that doesn't include an 850-foot long, 2-foot wide mow strip of fescue grass, which if it's, native fescue is not a turf lawn, is arguably mitigation itself. You're at 5 times the required mitigation for your 2-to-1. We've only got 399 square foot of additional hardscape. Times 2 is 798, and we've got, like I say, over 4,000 square foot of planting. So I think by many measures, it's a very good project in the balance. So I think that's a pretty good summary. Again, I'm excited to be part of this. It's a small scale commercial farm. It's a great use. I walk this area regularly, as I know a lot of the neighbors do, and ride bikes down here. It's just a real joy to see, and we think that we're going to tread lightly on the environment and be a benefit for the whole neighborhood, and be glad to answer any questions if you have them. Thank you.
Okay. I just have a couple of comments and questions, and then I'll hand it down to the rest of the commission. One of the comments on some of the public letters we received had to do obviously with water and who tests the water. So I did put a call into a woman named Holly Williams, who's with the Division of Marine Fisheries, who does testing of water in Yarmouth 3 times a year, and so tests this area. I wanted to see what the history is of the area. I did not get a call back yet, but I just wanted people to know that there is water testing in the area 3 times a year, and I will hopefully hear from her in the next day or early next week, and find out how does one access that history. So if the general public wants to see it, they can. I have not seen it, but I'll turn it over down to the rest of the commission. You want to go first?
Sure, yeah. Hi, thank you, and thank you for the sheet on the drainage flow and the directional. Thank you very much for that. Let's just talk a little bit about belts and suspenders and the swale and the berm. Are those a primary line of defense, or is that just sort of a secondary line of defense? And were they designed for maximum stormwater flow, or how did you address the size of the berm specifically?
Sure.
There's a two-parter to that question.
Yeah, well, I could attempt that. It's an intuitive design. I do a lot of drain design, but some of the best management practices that you can do are always low-impact design. You can put grates and drainage down in the ground and infiltrate directly, but the best treatment comes from grasses. Native root uptake and nutrient uptake is best done by plants. So you always try and introduce a grass swale first as the first line of defense in a berm. And so what I did is I just took a look at the drainage area that's going in here, especially out on the point to the north. It's not a very significant drainage area. You've got a little knoll and 30 or 40 feet of water's running, down towards the wetland there. So you haven't got a lot of water to deal with. So the berm will perform, quite well on that north peninsula. On the south, if you've got, especially frozen ground and a heavy rain, we would expect the berm to be overtopped. I'm not going to sit here and say every inch of water is going to go into the ground there, but it's absolutely designed to capture and spread out the flow and equalize it and infiltrate it and treat it as it comes off the field. And again, the first line of defense would be Natasha and Oliver being diligent with manure pile pickup. They walk around after the donkeys, pretty much every day. I think they, commit to 2 times every other day, but, as a practical matter, they don't like to look at it any more than anybody else does. So it gets picked up quite frequently. The smaller pellets from the goats do tend to congregate around the feed station, so they're easier to pick up. So that's the first line of defense, is just to keep some of those nutrients out. But, I would say that, it's the secondary line of defense would be having an underutilized pasture. So if you had, tons of animals per acre, they're going to beat up the ground and they're going to kill the plants, and you're going to have bare dirt and very little treatment. So with a limited herd size of smaller hoofed animals and a lightweight, lightly working over is really the biggest line of defense here, is that you're not overburdening the land's natural ability to uptake nutrients and to absorb it. And the old mantra, the solution to pollution is dilution. It's having a big enough area and a light enough load so that you're not creating intensive waste problems. And then tertiary would be the natural buffer and the berm and swale, and then the natural ability of a wetland to absorb some nutrients as well.
Yeah, by introducing the swale, you've really introduced a lot of disbursement, if you will, because of the linear footage of it.
We're happen to channel in one particular area, it'll spread it out over
Yeah.
hundreds of feet. Yeah,
There's
exactly.
no direct, whoosh.
Yes, precisely. That's a good way of putting it. It's a level spreader and an equalizer of the flow, and that definitely helps the plant uptake.
Thank you very much.
Anything else? We'll come back to you. You do.
Yeah. Can you tell me what, given the amount of use of paddocks and rotations and the number of animals, can you tell me the ratio of the food that you're going to have to, is that going to provide, let's say just the paddocks themselves going to provide 60, 70% of the food required for them, or and how much are you going to have to bring to make up for that?
So the goats will eat anything, but they enjoy the food that they provide. So Oliver, I'd say that, they probably get 60% or so of the food is what you bring out there and they bunch on.
60%.
And the rest is grazing. Hay,
Oh, hey, okay.
mostly hay. And of course, during the winter, it'd go up to 100% because the grass doesn't grow and very sparse in the winter.
From that, you tell me how many total animals you're going to have, say, come spring, and you have kids running around?
Well, the kids drink milk, right? So, and they're not going to be adding anything. But maybe the moms eat a little bit more during that time to make up for the extra milk. But, we'd have the 30, and what would you have, 15 kids maximum or something like that? Or?
Maximum. Natasha's on Zoom, she can talk better to this, but 15 is a high number.
So Oliver, just because he's not on the mic, Brom said that 15 would be a high number for kids from a small herd like 30.
And let's see, where does that leave me? Well, let me come back.
I think that's Natasha's hand up there.
Oh, okay.
Is that I can't read it all, but.
Yeah.
We can hear you.
Hi there, everybody. I would just, I apologize, I can't be there. I actually have farm commitments that are keeping me. But I would say that it's more like 80 to 90% is the hay, and they get very little grain. So it's, goats are not the same as sheep. They don't tend to do an extreme amount of grazing, number one. And number two, kids stay on the land 8 to 12 weeks. As Dan mentioned, they are with their mothers. They're very close to their mothers. They're not eating or disturbing anything. They're just sort of existing.
Okay. Are you going to have to build more, let's say, birthing areas or for the kids?
I do not anticipate that at this time at all. No.
Let's go on now. Give up for a moment.
Okay.
Can I
Yeah,
have
go
a
ahead.
question? So Brittany, if there is any intent to do anything substantial like that, isn't it in your conditions that they would have to reapply then? Isn't there?
Yes, we have drafted some special conditions, which we'll read out if we're ready to vote, but included in them is any additional activities within jurisdiction require separate review, including management of previously maintained wetlands, invasive species management, future farm structures and/or surfaces. So any additional work should come back for review.
Right, okay. I just wanted to be clear on that.
Pat, anything?
Well, it's just a question was brought up. Will the fence be located on the top of the berm or in front of it or behind it?
So I would say it would be located just on the berm would maximize just behind the posts, and it would taper out in front of the posts, and you'd have a little swale, out front. So it wouldn't be really in the planted area except the back side of the berm. So if you were to draw a picture of the fence, I would anticipate the fence to be right there on the berm, just on the front side, within 12 inches of the crown. So
Okay,
that's how I envisioned it.
Just had one other question. I mean, I know you have the irrigation set up here. I don't know how, is it possible to turn off certain heads, like the ones in the 35-foot? No. Just,
Yeah, but, again, as Leo, the farmer, had testified, the last thing you want is a dust bowl next to a wetland. You'd much rather have it be healthy, native grasses that have been there for, now bordering on 40 years. And I've got aerial photographs showing this is cleared before the turn of the century, 30s. It was all open, rolling hills, and so the turf. You want that, like a droughty summer like this, you want to keep it kind of wet. So, I mean, we could pull them out, but would probably want to spray in there anyway. So I think leaving them where they are and just not disturbing it would probably be the best thing to do. Again, it's an agricultural use. You've got, instead of kids with sneakers, you've got little sharp hooves that, could damage the roots if we let them get dried out. So, again, it would be a strong recommendation not to, and again, it's not heavy sprinklers. They're only used as needed. We're going to put them on if there's a rainstorm coming, they don't even go off, all computerized, and it won't be overdone, and there's no reason to overdo it. So I would really enjoy leaving the status quo with the sprinklers if at all possible.
thank you.
No questions.
No questions? Jack, we're back to you.
Okay. You mentioned the slight possibility, I think, of orchards. There's a few trees how many do you know?
That I can answer that. Sorry, Dan. The orchards exist today. There's a few trees that are old. We may add to them, but I don't think we're prepared to speak meaningfully. There's an orchard section. We may replace existing trees just like every other neighborhood or farm has trees or plants. So, just like my neighbors.
Is the orchard section within the fence or outside the fence?
No, it's on the other side of the, it's pitched away from the other side of the flower garden.
Okay.
Yeah, probably mostly out of jurisdiction over there.
So are you going to be able to have, given your facilities at the moment, you don't have to add any kind of pads or other kind of, for vehicle maintenance and parking? And I saw where the condition was one, use of roads for parking, but that doesn't really take care of where you're going to store oil and so forth and so on. And once you get to the point of bringing in more trucks, tractors, so forth, are you going to need additional facilities?
So it's my understanding that they use a small Polaris-type ATV with a tilt bed on the back. That's basically their tractor. Obviously, the mowers come once in a while, but as do with every place, but they come and they go. So no, we wouldn't anticipate that. And, very likely, the existing barn and big garage and will be plenty for that. And we'll come back if there's any reason to put it, but, would obviously suggest to them as engineers that they put anything like that outside, a watertight shed outside of the jurisdiction of the conservation, and keep any, cans of gas and oil in that.
I think the rest of I have would be maybe after you go through the conditions. Or do you want to?
Well, you have anything, Bradford?
No.
No?
No.
I do have one question about the core logs and the berm. The berm going on top of how does that look? How many inches are the core logs?
So what we specified was an 8-inch core log buried about halfway, just set in nice and tight. And these aren't like they're a tightly packed core log that's almost, it's very, very rugged. And then would put the, excavate, loamy sand right over it and loam and seed with erosion control mix. And so you'd form about a 6-inch high berm, and then you'd have about a 6-inch swale in front of it. So you'd have almost a foot of water level before it overtopped. And so that's described in the core log berm swale detail there. But again, cover it with loam, forming the berm and the swale. And the sizes are there, the oak stakes and the 8-inch core log. And, the mound, it goes up about 6 inches and 12. So it's like a little 1 to 2 speed bump. And that will eventually disintegrate and infill with, there'll be plants on it. The roots will, take over as often they do, take over the core log and just form a permanent little root mass there.
Dave?
Yeah.
Overall, I'm really bothered by the lack of detail on all of these. Do you have a design? We required engineering designs of things. Why don't we see that in here?
Well, I think that you do, when you look at the plans, you can describe here with dimensions.
Cross-cut, for instance, of the berm.
Which is right here.
Dimensions,
Yeah, I mean, there it is, it's drawn.
different locations.
Well, it's the same. It's a consistent cross-sectional view. Now, note E, where we're doing the swale up in there, that's described very carefully by contour lines, which are drawn to scale. And one of the things, this is a big farm, and we're trying to get it on one sheet, so you don't have to go through 3 different sheets. So it's 40 scale. So it's that swale where it looks like it's 2 feet wide is really about 5 feet wide. But it's drawn in there with specificity, and there's a note there that on note E that will be staked in the field and the grades marked in the field by the surveyor. I'm going to field adjust as required to make sure that if we missed a little dip or something, we run that swale so we capture all that water and run it down. And again, it's a farm. It's not a golf course. It's not a residence. It's farmers are allowed certain rights and a right to farm, And I think the level of detail here is perfectly adequate for, again, it's very little changes to the site except these couple little berms. So to, overdo it with, 17 different sections, I wouldn't think that would be appropriate here.
Why don't we go ahead and go through the,
We'll go to Brittany first.
I would just appreciate, Dan, on the cross-section of the berm swale. I think you mentioned it's 3 feet wide in most places, right? It doesn't say that, if you wouldn't mind adding that, because it says, it's noted that it's 6 inches deep as well, but it's not really visually representative of a swale. This is like berm, and then a note about the swale. If you wouldn't mind just adding the width section and the swale section to the detail, I would appreciate that.
Yeah, there'd be absolutely no problem. We could do that as a condition. I'd be happy to do it.
Thank you.
But again, it's, the main thing is that we're going to field adjust it and make sure that it works properly. And I'll be out there either personally or one of my right-hand persons, making sure that it works properly.
And another thing about the swale, you kind of intended it for it to be a disruption of sheet flow. At any point, do you intend for it to channel sheet flow into a central location, or is it mostly just going to?
It's going to self-equalize, so basically, it's quite level along the edge of the wetland. It's all within, probably 6 inches or so, up and down. So the lowest points would be, probably 100 feet wide, so that's would be the lower points.
They keep it generally level. Okay.
Yeah, it's very, very level. Again, it's an even grade down to a low wetland, and we're just following that contour line. So the swale itself will be quite level, especially the bottom sections will be long, little puddles until they dissipate and filter through the swale.
Okay. And I do appreciate the berm and swale and the increase in the size of a buffer. And you said you created it intuitively, but respectfully, as someone who is not in drainage design, it's hard for me to wrap my head around how it's sufficient to manage most storms. So if you could provide any sort of calculation to back up the swale size, or in general, in your intuitive thought, what size storm do you think that would be contained in the berm, and what type of storm do you think would overtop it? Any sort of detail, I think, would be appreciated to just understand the role of the berm and swale and when they're going to become overtopped.
Yeah, we could absolutely provide that. It's you generally would use a HydroCAD analysis, and, you make some assumptions based on the slope and the infiltration rates. But I could certainly provide some calculations on that. Again, it's, I'm not going to sit here and say it stops every storm, but it's going to do a lot of good in terms of, the first initial flush, spreading it out and infiltrating it, helping the plant's uptake before it gets to the wetland.
And that would be great. Thank you.
Sure.
And the only outcome, I believe, if you're able to provide that calculation, that would make me happy. And if you find in your calculation that you need a larger size, you can just swap out the size of the core log of the berm. Is that correct? That would. Yeah.
Basically, if you have more storage in a higher berm, you'll contain more runoff. Yeah, that would be the solution to that. But again, I think what we're trying to replicate is at least a 15-foot. The farm plans generally would call for. A 15-foot buffer. So the equivalent to that, I think we can easily meet.
Okay. That's what we're looking for. Great. Thank you, Dan.
Do you want me to go to the public, or you want me to read in the conditions?
Do you want to read them in, or should we? Yeah, we should probably read them in.
Okay. So what I'm going to do now is, before we go to the public, is read in the conditions that we have. They were online if people saw them, but first of the general conditions, which I'm not going to read in because they're the same conditions we require for every plan we have, except for, is there number 6 I should reread?
I already read that one.
Okay, so we're all set with those?
Yes.
Okay. And the same with the pre-construction and construction conditions. but I'm going to read the farm ones. Some of the conditions, number 21, which is under construction, I will read that. Driveways will be constructed of pervious materials such as crushed stone, gravel, seashells, and other similar materials. This is an ongoing condition that does not expire with the issuance of a COC or certificate of compliance. Future farm pathways, driveway, parking surfaces shall be permeable and require additional permission permitting with conservation. So there are some conditions that they will have to come back to us. But dealing with the farm, which is obviously different than when we deal with most everything else that comes across the commission, below are ongoing conditions that do not expire with the issuance of a certificate of compliance. 23 are number 1 of the farms. The manure management plan shall be implemented upon arrival of the first animal. Excess manure compost will be brought off-site prior to the containment area reaching capacity. It shall never be allowed to overflow and must always be contained. Manure shall be picked up from the pasture every third day plus prior to storms forecasted to include a half an inch of precipitation or more. Alternate strategies to maintain healthy pasture land shall be deployed prior to judicious fertilizer or compost use, and soil shall be tested for nutrient content in garden beds and pastures every 3 years as noted in the farm plan, plus in advance nutrient. What did I do?
Sorry, I need to add an of there, in advance of nutrient.
In advance of nutrient amendment are planned to determine nutrient needs for the upcoming growing season. Buffer plantings and vegetation. Any areas that is disturbed shall be revegetated with suitable native plant materials according to the site plan immediately or as soon as the growing season commences until permanent stability is reached. The 8 to 10 foot vegetated buffer, is that still correct, 8 to 10 foot?
Yeah, the 10-foot.
Yeah, the 10 foot or more buffers, vegetated buffer, shall be allowed to naturalize in perpetuity. The area must be left undisturbed, and there shall be no use of fertilizers, removal of leaf litter, subsurface irrigation system, hardscape, structures of any kind of creation of lawn. Periodic weeding of invasive vegetation is allowed. This is an ongoing condition that does not expire with the issuance of the certificate of compliance. Mulch
Most
may
of these
only...
ones are typical, but you may read them if you'd like.
Okay, should I read number 30 and stop there?
Yeah, and then 16, 17, and 19 are just a little bit altered for this, and the rest of them are
16,
standard.
17, okay, I'll get back to
Did we leave a
those.
2-foot mow strip in that buffer?
Yeah, that's a 2-foot mow strip may be maintained between the buffer plants and existing vegetated edge to keep back invasive species. The vines may also be trimmed back to keep them off the buffer plantings.
That's great, yeah, those grapevines grow as fast as kelp, it seems like.
I haven't got to 33 yet.
Sorry. You can go back to 16,
I thought we'd
17.
skipped it, I'm sorry, my bad.
Mulch may only be applied under the drip line of each plant at the time of planting for moisture retention, soil stabilization, and weed control during establishment. Native ground covers will be utilized in the spaces between larger plantings. Under construction, we have a few changes or things dealing directly with the farm. No equipment shall be refueled or shall fuel be restored within 100 feet of resource area. Herbicides, pesticides, fertilizers shall be stored in containers required in enclosed areas with impermeable floors. And machine and vehicles, when not in use, shall be parked on the existing driveway or within the garage or barn. Any others you want me to read? All the others are standard, correct?
All the others are standard, including stormwater conditions, certificate of compliance conditions, which require a written statement. The other ones are not of note. So I think that covers it.
Okay. And you had a copy of this earlier, correct?
Yeah, I did review it, and we'll certainly go over it again, but that sounded to us all reasonable, at least the set that I reviewed.
Okay. Before I go to the general public, anybody? Commission?
Just a clarification on documents. So the farm plan and management and best management practices, are they part of these documents? They're locked in and then, okay.
They are, and any changes should be submitted in writing. That's,
And then I just want to offer, I understand what you're requesting on the swale, but I don't want to lock it in if the swale, based on field conditions, has to be wider. Do you know what I mean? Like, I think you asked for a dimension of the swale.
yeah, I just want to make sure the swale is sufficient.
Right,
And-
but I don't want
You
to,
could call it a minimum size.
okay.
Yeah.
And then subject to,
Yeah, field adjustment larger,
Adjustment,
but
okay.
at least we'll build at a minimum this size, you know.
yeah, okay, thank you.
Is that sufficient? Okay.
Thanks.
Anybody else? Okay, go to the public now. We're going to want you again to focus on the, what we talked about tonight. We've heard you about all the other things. At least I have read the letters at least 2 times, if not 3 in some cases. And try to keep it to 2 minutes if you could, but that's it. So who would like to go first? Sir, you want to, I know? 'Cause I cut you off last week. Again, let us know your name and address and what you want to say.
Good evening. My name is Ron Gable. My address is 108 Mill Lane. As you've just heard, Down Cape Engineering has submitted a plan to try to mitigate the runoff of coliform bacteria. The only way to determine whether this intervention is effective is to measure its impact on the destination of the runoff. Therefore, the Commission should require the applicants to provide monthly measurements of coliform bacteria in Mill Pond for at least 6 months before making the farm operational as a control, and for no less than 12 months thereafter as a test. Your approval of the notice of intent should be conditional on these tests showing that the farm is not significantly increasing Mill Pond's pollution. Thank you.
I'm going to just ask you to repeat slowly what you just said about how often you would like it.
He said monthly for at least 6 months, for no less than 12 months thereafter. This was helpful, thank
I
you.
believe the Shellfish Constable measures the coliform level in Mill Pond on a monthly basis, and that's why I specified that in my comments.
Okay. All right, thank you. I see a hand, I just don't see a face. Go ahead, somewhere in the back, there you are.
Good evening. I'm Paul Fitzgerald.
Paul, could you talk in the microphone?
Good evening.
Yep.
I am Paul Fitzgerald. I live adjacent to the Kevany Lane Bridge on the Cumberquid side. I have lived there for 44 years, and as I said at the last meeting, I swim, fish, and shellfish in these waters surrounding my home. I am not alone, as many of my neighbors and visitors to the bridge also use this pond and tidal estuary. I am concerned about the health and the environmental risks a commercial goat farm will cause to this beautiful, precious resource. This is one-of-a-kind location and should be considered as such. To the members of this commission, I want to thank you for the dedication and hard work required during this hearing. Your voluntary contribution to the town is appreciated, and we know how seriously you take your commitment. You individually bring unique knowledge and strengths to the decisions you are making. Yet this time, the combination of a proposal and the environment of the proposed site may cause lasting effects resulting from your decision. Those consequences have the potential to change the health of the environment and the health of our neighborhood forever. My wife and I feel that your decision regarding approval of a commercial goat farm in a residential neighborhood will have repercussions that you have been made aware of from the letters and from those that have spoken at these hearings. We both feel and ask that you, as a board, before your final decision, seek or request the advice and counsel from environmental experts at the state or private level. Thank you.
Thank you.
You hear me okay? Hi, good evening. I'm Andrew Maker. I live at 2 Mill Lane in Yarmouthport. I walk up and down Mill Lane every single day of the year in every single weather condition. I've seen water flow up and down Mill Lane in directions you'd never believe. I was walking 2 weeks ago when the hail started, and we saw over an inch of rain in 40 minutes. It's really disturbing to me when I hear words like defense and that we have to have contingencies for runoff. I don't see how we can prepare for events that we don't even know are going to happen. I appreciate all the thought that you've put into this, and I urge you to put more thought into it. And I'm gonna tell you why in just a second. So this is my son. My son, I guarantee you, has more experience than anyone in this room playing on that property. He spent the last 5 years with the previous owner's family playing on that property. And I have one question. Did you ever see anyone farming over there?
Okay,
No.
we're really focusing, I'm sorry, but we're really focusing on what we've talked, because we've done all this 4 other times.
Yep, and I wasn't here for that.
Well, I apologize
I'm gonna
for
give
that.
I'm gonna give Charlie an opportunity to
I'll
talk.
give you 1 more minute.
Hi, my name is Charlie Maker. I'm 13 and I live at 2 Mill Lane with my dad. I spent this past summer discovering how fun it is to live in our neighborhood. I swam from the wharf to the bridge, rode the tide under to the bridge in the pond, and I jumped in the bridge from the water and floated on tubes into the creek. I also started fishing from the bridge every day, even though the stripers weren't there. I would be really disappointed if the water quality was unknown and if there was a farm nearby that had bad stuff freely flowing into the water that I now enjoy. I'd like to know what exactly I'm playing in. Thank you.
I didn't hear the last sentence.
Can you just read this last
Can you
sentence
repeat the
again?
last
They
sentence?
didn't hear that.
I said I'd like to know exactly what I'm playing in.
Okay, thank you.
Similar to Paul, we swim in that water, and I think as Ron so eloquently put, which I could never put a cadence on it, but I would like to see that water tested weekly. We swim in it. We're still swimming in it in September. That's how much it means to us. To have that risk, to have to put defenses up, I don't think that's acceptable.
Thank you. I will repeat what I said earlier, that it is tested 3 times a year. And I'm trying to get the history of those tests, results. Anybody else? Go ahead.
Good evening, I'm Joshua Stain, 128 Water Street. My comments are going to be more than 2 minutes, I'm afraid.
Well,
Cut me
last
off if
time
you
you
want.
read, excuse me, this is the 3rd time you've been up here and reading a long letter. We receive long letters from you. I'm going to keep you to 2 minutes. We've been through this. You're not going to read the same thing you've been reading. I want you to focus on what we focused on tonight, which are the changes. Thank you.
Thanks for that. I will note that each of my public statements in this forum on each successive hearing have been different and have covered different additional matters and problems with this. Tonight I'm going to raise some more that also have not yet been covered. Let me start with those that aren't in my letter. This board wants to be accurate, I assume, in making a decision. Let me point out a few inaccuracies. First, the applicant's August 28th plan says that it relies on FEMA's 2014 flood maps. But FEMA updated those maps in July of 2025, such that the plan appears now to underestimate the high-risk flood zone. For example, near A13 on the plan, both the contour line and the Zone AE darker line say 12 feet, but they don't line up. Before any order of conditions locks down this plan and makes it formal, shouldn't the commission insist that it be updated and submitted for review? Second, the plan also contains a disclaimer that it's approximate and for proposed work only. Shouldn't the applicant need to submit and the commission review a definite, accurate plan? Lives are counting on it, as you just heard. The wetland delineation flags, third, presumably were placed by Paul Shea. He's a wetland scientist, but not a certified soil scientist, and who only handwrote field notes, which often miss key elements. And they were only done once, back in March. Shouldn't a certified soil scientist go into the field and ensure that the flags are placed accurately so that no wetlands in this fragile area are missed? We can't obviously rely on the plan since it's only approximate. Fourth, since the NOI was filed on July 2nd, several changes have occurred, such as additional fencing, core logs, berms, swales, etc. I'm not sure if a revised NOI ought to be submitted to the DEP for further comment, but at a minimum, shouldn't the applicant need to submit and the commission review a revised NOI with updated, accurate, specific figures for proposed alterations to each protected area before any order of conditions might issue? Further, let me point out that this board likely wants to comply with the law. There are riverfront obligations. In their own NOI, they say that they're altering the riverfront. Yet there's no 200-foot setback even identified on the plan. The plan ignores it, and placing a manure pile, a 32, but now apparently potentially 47 animal barn, pasture, fencing, swales, and berms inside that zone without the required alternatives analysis or proof of no adverse effect is inappropriate and directly breaches the Wetlands Regulation 102(1)D and 310 CMR 10.58. There are coastal storm flowage violations. A 6-foot fence just 8 feet from the wetlands, built flush to the ground, will block floodwaters and wildlife. Core logs and berm swales only 3 feet from the wetlands and a foot high will trap and redirect runoff, carving unnatural channels, despite what Mr. Ojala has indicated. No mitigation has been shown at all. This violates the Wetlands Regulation 410.3A and 310 CMR 10.02. The irrigation well is 5 feet from growing areas where pesticides are used. Sprinklers line the resource area and the pastures where all the animals will deposit waste. Runoff is mapped to flow into the salt marsh and other waters and nearby wetlands. This is expressly barred by town stormwater rules and the Mass DMF's directives. Several sprinkler heads on their own sprinkler plan also sit inside of the legal setbacks. They also have shrunk the legal buffer down. It's not even the 15 feet, the true 15 feet that their own submitted BMPs call for. The wetlands law actually says that steep slopes like the ones here, which are at minimum 29%, and possibly if you go to the 50-foot setback, are 50%, demand more protection, not less. Yet we're now shrinking it down to 8%.
I'm going to give you about 10 more seconds.
I want to note.
That's not how it works.
That's not how it works. Thank you.
The manure and composting area is not outside of your jurisdiction. Neither is most of what Mr. Ojala has said. The town and state law cover any activity that affects a protected resource. Runoff from the pile and from what else he's talking about will definitely do that. And you have both the authority and the duty to act.
May I suggest that you put this in writing so I could see all those little numbers you throw out that I have no idea what they mean?
He did.
Did you throw? If they're in writing already, then I don't need to hear it again.
Well, it sounds like you haven't heard it yet.
I have heard it. I've read
Because
it.
you didn't know.
Maybe we
Thank
need
you.
to hear it.
Well, you can go online and look at it. It's online. His letters are all online, as are, excuse me. That's enough. Thank you. Thank you very much for your time. Anybody else? I have someone right here.
Hi, I'm Rachel Rosen. I'm also at 128 Water Street, and I just want clarification on the number of animals. This is the first that we've heard about the number of animals going up. The number of animals is regulated by acre, which directly impacts the amount of waste going into the water supply. And so I don't understand how before we were talking about 30 goats and 2 donkeys, and now we're talking about multiple babies. And again, just to address what the gentleman in front said, if I hear one more time about small stool, I'm going to lose my mind as a gastroenterologist when Salmonella, Shigella, and E. coli are thousands and thousands in very small stool.
Next, please.
Hello, my name is Vincent Miles. I live at 48 Mill Lane, about half a
Pull away a
block,
little bit from the microphone. There you go.
about half a block away from the proposed farm here. So, in his comments at the beginning of the meeting today, Mr. Ojala mentioned, referred to permits which have existed in the past for some of the things that are going to be done in this redevelopment. But my understanding from 2 meetings ago is this is being treated as a brand new application for farms. And I wonder whether the regulations under which those prior permits were issued are still the same now, particularly since it's a farm that we're talking about. As Josh has mentioned in his 2 previous presentations too, there's a whole host of regulations and statutes which govern the type of development that's being considered here. And it seems to me that, particularly given the high level of public interest here, as well as having an environmental expert look at the significance of the plan as it now stands, we will be well advised as a town to have some environmental lawyer make sure that whatever we're about to approve, if we're going to do that, complies with all regulations. Thank you.
Next, please.
Hi, Jean Young. I'm a neighbor. My question tonight is about the, you actually brought it up, the right to farm. Doesn't that apply to if there is an existing farm? My concern is that if you are going by the right to farm, then the neighbors don't have any protection. If there's an existing farm, and you have a neighbor or somebody moves into the neighborhood next to the farm, then you don't have the right to complain about smells and whatever else is going on at the farm. But if you are establishing a new farm, then the neighbors have a right because there's no right to farm existing. Am I making myself clear?
Has a right for what?
I think that the right to farm bylaw is not under our direct purview, but
Actually, it was brought up twice, at the last meeting and again today.
yes, but it is.
Well, I'm bringing it up.
If I
because we need
could
to-
perhaps shed a little light through the chair.
Let me just finish.
The size of the lot, it's state law. If you have over 5 acres, you can have a farm, whether it's new or not, just period.
Okay, go ahead.
I'm sorry, say that again?
If you have a lot of land in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, which is in excess of 5 acres, you can, as of right, create a farm on it.
Even if it's not zoned?
100%, residential, commercial, industrial, anything. If you have 5 acres, you can have a farm.
Okay. And then to go back then to the law, the bylaw that was brought up today and again last week, it's important for us to know, if you guys have established this piece of property as farmland now, because if you establish it as farmland now, we have no protection. We can't say, don't, or you shouldn't, or you can't, because you're saying to us, this is pre-existing. This is not a pre-existing farm. You are creating a new farm.
We haven't said it's a pre-existing farm, have we?
Can I get that?
I'm not going to make any commitments like that. You're trying to box me
I'm
in.
asking you, you're not the committee. I'm asking the committee. Can we have some kind of clarification about
That's not our
what the zoning and use of this property is?
That's a zoning issue. That's not our issue. Our issue is to protect the water and the wetland, and that's what we're doing to the best of our ability. Thank you.
Okay, and I have to say, I'm not seeing that, but I do thank thank you for your efforts.
Next, is there a next?
Kathy Harity, 122 Water Street. I have three questions, comments, and maybe you already answered one from earlier, because I was asking, has everyone on the commission read all the public comments, most especially regarding all the unanswered questions from past meetings? And if so, when are we going to get the answers? Number two, are the applicants going to be living full-time on the property and working on the farm? If not, how are we going to know best practices being followed? And number three, just came up tonight, Mr. O'Halloran, could you expand on your comment how a commercial goat farm brings benefits to a residential neighborhood? Thank you.
It's not in your purview.
Yeah, it's, I personally love farms, so I think they bring a benefit wherever they are.
The applicant is living on the farm.
Yeah, their intention is to live there. They live on the farm in New York, they're moving up here, that's the intention, but, we can't lock them into that 100% for 100 years, let's not be silly, but that's their intention.
Next, please, if there are next.
Good evening. My name is Mark Bishop. I'm new to this game. Along with my siblings, I own the property at 112 Mill Lane, which is the boathouse on Mill Creek across from Paul Fitzgerald on the Kevaney Lane side of the bridge. Like the young man here with his father, my parents also owned 1 Mill Lane for 40 plus years, and I have spent the last 50 plus years of my life on that street in that time. And I've seen the change in the marsh, and I have great concerns, and I will echo what everyone else has said here about the possible and potential environmental impact on this area. It is a beautiful, pristine, crucial piece of geography in our town on the Cape, certainly one of the most well-photographed places on the Cape. And I'm concerned about the impact of a commercial farm. I heard something tonight about, cars will just park on the street.
I didn't hear that.
I thought I heard, I thought I heard that. Hey, is there any consideration been given to
Not
parking?
within our purview, that's a
So
traffic.
can I ask,
If they put
will
it
this
as-
go to zoning and to building and?
I think it goes to health.
We don't know exactly, but if they want to do a farm stand, that's a special permit through zoning.
And that was where we would be able to talk about parking for a commercial venture and the impact
commercial
on a
venture.
one-lane bridge
Right.
and a
They-
very fragile ecosystem that people tromp all over on my property
They
as
do
I
a-
watch the marsh recede alarmingly fast.
So they're tramping on your property already.
They are, and there will be more, yes.
Okay.
I'm concerned, Paul and I were talking the other night, I'm concerned about a fluffy seagull moment, if you get that reference. Thank you very much.
That's okay.
Oh, he's referencing the coffee shop.
Oh, it's a coffee shop.
Is that your coffee shop?
Can I?
It means crowds. That's what fluffies show.
Well, as in our conditions, if they try to build another building, they have to come back to us. So I don't know where the traffic's coming from unless people drive by to want to see what a goat looks like at this point.
They're going to be selling goats and they're
What?
going to be selling flowers?
Public comment going or go to-
Anybody else have another comment?
Related
Yes.
to the environment.
Hi again, Brian Hardy, 14 Hilsey Road, diagonal across from this lovely property. A couple of things. I don't know if I missed something or a meeting somewhere along the lines, but it seems like there's some conditions that have already been talked about, and that's great if you guys meet offline. I didn't know where I could find these conditions, but if maybe you can point the public in the right direction for those.
No, we don't prepare the conditions ahead of time.
Okay. So I'm also curious, what happened to the 35-foot buffer zone in the bordering vegetated wetland? We talked a lot about 8 feet, now maybe we're up to 10 feet, but where's the remaining 25 feet? We also haven't seen an example of what this fence could look like. If I'm not mistaken, under the Wetlands Protection Act, you're allowed, or you're supposed to allow wildlife passage. Haven't heard anything on that at all. That'd be great to understand. Thirdly is we haven't talked about the Mass Flood Plan 2050, where it completely engulfs that entire property, with maybe the exception of the home. So no one's brought that up, either the commission or the engineer. The other thing too is we've heard a lot about the plan for, channeling water and this and that. But I haven't heard anything either on what the mitigation process is going to look like in the event of a mechanical failure, a large storm, anything along those lines. So I'm curious, where is all of that? And I'm drawing a blank on the gentleman that brought it up. I feel like we're still missing really a ton of detail.
Okay, a lot of your
with this
questions are
project.
online at our website, and the moment we get something, a letter from the public, it goes right online.
Yeah.
So if you go on to the Yarmouth Town,
Completely, I'm very familiar with the town website. I'm on there 10 times a day.
Oh, great.
Looking for updates, but I haven't seen the mitigation plan or anything. That doesn't address my question there. Again, in the event of a mechanical failure or a large storm, what does the cleanup process look like? I haven't heard anything on that. I don't know if I'm the only one. But anyways, thank you for your time.
anybody else? Okay, we're going to make this last person so we can move ahead.
Michael Herity, 122
Sorry,
Water
Michael,
Street.
your last name?
Herity, Heraghty. I'm just going to read from a prepared statement, and this is under the category of missing BMPs.
Of what?
Missing BMPs or business management practice. The applicant promised written specific BMPs weeks ago. None of these have been submitted. Without them, there's nothing to review, nothing to enforce, and no insurance of protection. Further, the August 21st voting sheet lists a condition that the applicant provide BMP details. At minimum, this stems from the Commission's request to see each BMP and how you will apply it. Its schedule, specifics, chemicals to be used, maximum number of goats, and details. The applicant may have insisted on fast-tracking this matter, but the Commission cannot decide this matter before following its voting sheet conditions.
Okay, thank
Is that clear enough? I could also submit this to you directly.
You'd also what?
I could submit this written statement to you directly if you'd like.
If you want to send it in, what?
It'll be captured into the minutes.
Perfect, thank you.
Okay. We just close that door.
Okay.
Oh, someone's doing it.
Oh, he's doing it for you.
Paul, we're all set.
Got it.
Okay. I was going to make an escape.
For that feeling. Where do you want to go from here? Oh, well, yeah, anybody on Zoom? Raise your hand.
Okay.
Bradford, do you see anybody?
Nope.
Okay. All right.
Could I just?
Yep.
Yeah, this is bothering me. I think for the past 4 weeks, 6 weeks, we've been talking about how to address the runoff. And I think it's really important for the public to know that this project does not introduce any impervious surface to increase the runoff. In fact, what this project is doing is implementing controls that weren't there before. So am I correct?
I'd characterize that exactly. The only tiny impervious areas that we're introducing are directed with gutters and downspouts to a dry well. Everything else is improvements over existing conditions.
I think it's really important for the public to understand that we're not doing anything to increase the runoff. So therefore, what I'm hearing from the public, if they understand that, is their concern on the farm itself. But anyways, I just want to make it clear that, again, this project doesn't introduce any substantial impervious material, and it's introducing, and this is really important, that it's introducing stormwater controls that did not exist there before. We're not mowing this down and building houses. We're working with the existing landscape as best as we can, abiding by the Wetlands Protection Act to make this job as environmentally sound as possible. I don't know what else there is to it.
45 animals.
We're not here for an argument. Thank you.
No, we don't get into number of animals.
We heard
The Board
you.
of Health will evaluate the number of animals. We don't talk about animal counts.
Thank you.
So we're looking for either a motion to continue or a motion to issue an order conditions with the special conditions discussed and a revised plan reflecting calculations.
I want a motion to vote on this, subject to the conditions and the farm, plan, and what other documents do we have here?
The calculations for the swale.
I'd like to,
Subject to the calculations for the swale, yeah.
Let's just get a second, then we'll discuss it.
second that.
Okay, now it's open for
So
discussion.
would you repeat the motion, please?
I want a motion to vote on this project, subject to the request tonight for additional detail on the swale and the berm, and that this approval tonight also includes the conditions as written and the farm plan, and I don't think anything else has to be documented.
No, that's correct.
Okay.
Okay, and I heard a second. Does somebody want to comment on whether they're ready to vote for this or whether they would rather
Well, that's,
ask for a continuance?
you have to
I'd
make
like-
a vote on the motion, but you can discuss it.
We're discussing the motion. Yep.
Yeah, I'd like to point out that it's too early to just go to a vote, first of all, because, first of all, I'd like to hear from Brittany about the stormwater, if she's sufficiently, satisfied with the new information that they're going to provide.
That the pending information, yes, they're going to build it, the minimum size as discussed. And if their calculations show that it needs to be bigger, they're going to make it bigger.
And what about if we
And
find,
field conditions.
Yeah, field conditions.
about if we find that there is, they are insufficient and that they really, and once we approve, there's very little we can do to change the conditions and get a more detailed farm plan.
Thank you. We don't need help. Thank you.
I don't understand what you're saying.
Chair, if I could introduce perhaps,
Yeah, Dan.
What you're saying is, and I think we've solved this issue, is that what happens if what they do is insufficient? Brittany's saying that,
You're going to design the berm to be sufficient.
Well, I'm talking about the whole farm plan, not just the,
well, we're,
well, that's been on the
how the
books.
farm plan, do you think is within our purview that we,
well, erosion, water quality, buffers, there's a number of things that are right now. And once we make this vote, the right to farm law will come into play, and
The conditions in our order would require them to come back to us with changes to the farm plan.
and are we satisfied with that? That's my biggest question. Actually, thinking about today, I was seeing what the overall picture is, how much information, for instance, the conditions have not become public, for instance. So we don't have any feedback on if the community feels that they are satisfied with those conditions. And I think that there's a similar kind of lack of information out there about best management practices. I've talked about that a little bit. I think that there's a great misunderstanding of how the science behind farm practices and the detail that not just Natural Resources Conservation Service, but local universities, EPA, that they spent years looking at these best management practices, modeling them. And there's over 300, well, it's about 150 right now, best management practices in the U.S. for just USDA. So the issue becomes one of, can we be sure that there's enough information that we're gathered? My original thought was to go to ask for more detailed studies being done by the new owner, but I was convinced that there's not enough information, not enough knowledge about what's really happening and on the ground, so that we could identify what somebody would study. There is a considerable amount of measurement of the ponds 3 times a year. There is soil information that's going to be provided in the conservation plan. I'm convinced that this will be sufficient because for the moment, because I was going to say, well, let's measure the soil, the water in the soil, look at the water quality flow coming underground, but there's no way really that can be done easily, and there's no experts around that really understand farms enough to be able to do that kind of study, and it would probably be expensive. So I think that we have to recognize that once we vote, except for the conditions that we have, we really are not able to come back and argue the kind of studies that I would like to see, or even to get more details on the farm, on the best management practices. So
What I'm getting from you is you would like to delay.
I'd like to delay until.
Let's move to Paul.
Yeah, thank you. This, of course, has been very interesting. It's a wonderful area. My family enjoyed going down to that area a lot. We don't live there. We live pretty close, but my boys kept the boat down what they used to call the old wharf down there off of Water Street for many years, and we still go down there to the bridge and so on and so forth. So I know what a special place it is. This whole town is comprised of special places. You know, it really, really is. And I don't think people realize that. Go out to Great Island, go along the Bass River, go over to Yarmouth Port, all these different places. And how are they protected? Part of the way they're protected is by this group, okay? And we apply regulations as evenly and as carefully as we possibly can. I think I've said this before. In addition to this, we have other town departments that monitor things like buildings, zoning, conservation related to the Natural Resource Department, a number of different things. And so let's say, for example, this is passed, and something goes in and then something starts to happen. You talk about trucks on the road. I think there's somebody in town you can call to help with that and to protect against any damage that would be done to this incredible area or any area within the town if something was happening like that, okay? So again, I think we apply the regulations. It's very interesting to listen to you folks, especially with all of the citing of the various sections and so on and so forth. It's amazing. You're very intelligent people, no question about it. But we apply the regulations as we understand, and also the conservation regulations and decisions are reviewed on a regular basis by the conservation agent. Very, very often she'll go out to different places where somebody will call and say, hey, something's going on that property, shouldn't be going on. And she'll run out there and then we'll have a hearing about the violation. So there's a lot of, I think there's more protections than you realize. Again, I think that I don't know what would happen to this property if it wasn't somebody thinking about something like a farm. It can't just be a photographic opportunity. You know, it's a beautiful place. It has gardens, it has orchards already, all of that type of thing. Let us make a decision about it. Go forward from here as far as other concerns you have with the appropriate agencies, and let's move forward.
I just want to address one of your concerns on, I don't want the public to think that our vote is, that's it, it's over, and you know, we're left
Not at all.
with this. The ongoing conditions are very, very substantial, and I don't want to go through them, but that's basically, it addresses your concern about buffers. This is an ongoing condition that does not expire with the issuance of a COC. It's like a maintenance check, as you know, indefinitely. So I think it's really important for the public to know that there's at least 10 of them here, if I'm not mistaken.
Absolutely.
So when we have the order of conditions, if the order of conditions are broken, then if, usually we find this out from neighbors, because obviously we can't be driving around every part of this town. The other day, Brittany and I were out in, doing a site visit, and somebody came up and told us about one of his neighbors, and, which I'm sure Brittany looked into as soon as she got back. So that's how we find out about these things. So if one of these order of conditions is broken, I'm sure we'll find out very quickly, or Brittany will anyway, and go from there. And then it becomes a violation, and we work from there. So if the berm isn't working as it should be, and they don't do any mitigation to that, then we'll find out and we'll order them to do it. It's that simple. Is there a perfect system? The only perfect system I think the neighbors would like is just not to see a farm.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, well, anyway, but, you know, other people have rights. Do you have anything to say, Bradford? Nope? Anything else?
Last one.
Go ahead. Well, Pat might be the last one, but go ahead.
Sure.
I was just going to say that I think we've covered very closely our purview of what our commission here is about. I mean, there's so many other questions, like you've brought up, but it's not part of our, what we cover. And as I had stated, there's other parts of this project will go on, and other committees or the other boards in this town will get involved. And the zoning, the health department, I'm sure something has to go past certain other areas, and maybe some of your concerns will be brought up in those areas. But I think we've done a good job of trying to do the best we can to protect the waters in this beautiful, beautiful area that you're fortunate to have really close to you.
And there is a difference between what was originally brought to us to what is in front of us now over the last 4 meetings. Okay, Jack, you can have the last word.
Well, when I found out that it was pretty hard to come back and actually ask for more studies and detailed information, and that even putting the farm plan in the basis into operation is going to take a few years. And that's really the crux of the issue. And that once we get into this vote and that set of conditions, I feel that there's really only one way that we could go in to this and ask and find out if we're overstepping the impact or overstepping what we know about the situation, and can find out if the owner would volunteer to reduce the number of animals coming in, because this is really the issue. There's very little information out there on goats with best management practices, little information out there on the different kinds of, whether you're going to use it for dairy work, or you're going to use it for the kids, or you're going to use it to have a farm stand. there's really very information out there that's specific to the situation, and that is helpful. One way would be to turn it around and say, let's come in with fewer animals. I don't know what number that would be. I don't know how long you would want to, certainly you wouldn't want to stay just at that number, but you'd find out if you could increase the number and have better information. Even if the pond gets closed down in the next few years or few months, you're not going to be able to prove that it was the farm. You're not going to be able to do it. So I think that what we need to do is to say, let's go into this slowly and be sure that we work with the neighbors. Maybe they can give you feedback continuously to understand the conditions. And so I'm not in favor of voting on this for the moment.
Okay, well, we have it in front of us. Motion is to,
Issue an order of conditions with special conditions as discussed, pending revised stormwater calculations and plan with detail on the Berman swale.
so.
It's been motioned and seconded.
So we're going to vote individually this time, so we'll know what everybody's vote is. You mind starting, Paul?
Not at all. I vote aye.
Vote aye.
I vote no.
I vote aye.
I vote aye.
And I vote aye.
Motion passes 5-1.
So 5-1 passed.
All right. We really appreciate your careful consideration, and we'll make you proud. Thank you.
Thanks, Dan.
That was fun. Oh, do we have two things to sign or just one?
There's just one signature page on the top to go down.
Even though it's two properties?
Just the one, because it'll get recorded on just, yeah.
Dan, do you have another one?
Thank you.
Yeah.
I got a plan.
Jack doesn't sign it, correct?
He doesn't, no.
So
Oh,
would
no,
that,
I'm gonna, those are my I think, Crawford.
if I
And where do we all sign?
had-
Oh, right here.
There's only one.
explained it differently, well, if I had explained it differently, would you have been better able to understand what I was saying?
I understood what you were saying. I just think,
Understood, but I don't think you were right.
I think you were in a whole different place. I don't think our commission has anything to say with it.
You'll have to give us a minute.
A whole different thing. All we're trying to do is protect them.
If we could clear the room so we could move on.
You guys mind your conversation in the hallway, please? Thank you.
Okay, folks, get the hell out of here.
Echo in here, 162.
Sign that one, 'cause you-
You people could bring your business out to the hallway so we could finish, and we'd appreciate it.
Well, they don't record my vote?
We're going to go on.
First thing, amend.
To an NOI 70, sure. SE 832279, 162B Pleasant Street, reconstruction of pier, coastal stabilization and beach nourishment, proposed amendment, coastal stabilization expansion with additional fiber rolls in the riverfront area, land subject to coastal flooding, and coastal bank.
Good evening. For the record, Jen Crawford from Crawford Land Management here for the applicant. I am going to take a deep breath for everyone.
Thank you.
Just a second.
Chill out now.
Thank you.
Yes.
It's been a long couple weeks.
I'm sure it has. It's been a very interesting night as an observer in your audience tonight. All right, so the amended order that I am first here to speak about. The original project was, I believe it was actually permitted by Dan from Down Cape. It included a small coastal stabilization piece, a 2 roll high fiber roll array at the bottom of the coastal bank. My company became involved in the project because we were the contractors that installed that approved plan under that order of conditions. And I believe that was installed a couple years ago. We've done a couple monitoring reports, I believe, for that project. One of the things that has happened over the last couple of years is the fiber roll array that was originally designed and approved protected the very, very toe, and this is a very short bank that we're talking about here. But the fiber roll array that protected the very toe seems to continually, or at least enough, get tidal action to overtop it enough where there is a little bit of additional scarp that has actually happened a little bit higher up on the bank. It's really on the towards the western side where it adjoins the property at 170. There's a strip of basically rugosa rose that's remaining along the top, and that has been undermined. So we're here to ask for permission through an amendment to that original order to add one more fiber roll further up. It wouldn't be contiguous with the two that are there. We're actually proposing to set it back into the remaining consolidated soils that are there. We have submitted a cross-section that shows approximately where the two that were previously permitted were installed in conjunction with where we are proposing the now single one further up towards the top of the bank. And again, it's a very small bank. The construction access would be the same as what was originally proposed and approved, and which we used as the contractors to do the original installation. And we've also included, there's a small amount of nourishment that would be required. I believe that's written into our plan notes, along with additional plantings and replacement of any of the native actually it's not native, excuse me, it's rugosa rose. The rugosa rose on the top of the bank would be replaced with native roses, Carolina or Virginia. I think the only other piece that we are proposing in this amendment that was not discussed in the original order is, since we've been on this property doing maintenance and storm checks and monitoring for the original installation, we found that this property and the adjacent 170 have a tendency to accumulate a lot of rack. So it has been a little bit difficult for us to be able to get plantings established into those rolls or into any nourishment, because there just gets rack piled up and they can't establish. So we have requested the ability to remove rack from where it's piling up on the coastal bank so that we can get plantings established within that zone. So any questions that you have about it, I will do my very best to answer.
I have a question. I'm not sure, okay. I'm not sure which property I'm talking about, that's the problem. So if I'm looking, if the river's behind me, the property we're talking about now is the one on the left.
Nope, this is the one on the right.
Okay.
Yes, the one, it has like the kind of circular driveway, and that's what we would come off of for our construction access. 'Cause we're on 162B, right? I didn't just tell you about the wrong project, right?
So the one that we parked at is the other one.
Okay.
That's the other one.
Yes. Yeah, 162B is the one we're doing the amendment
My
for.
question has to do with the other one, so I will withdraw my question.
Okay.
Anybody in the commission have a question about this?
I just wanted to know about post-monitoring, post-construction monitoring. What is the procedure there?
Yep, I believe the existing order calls for annual monitoring reports, and I believe that we have completed those. I don't know if, off the top of my head, if there is a particular date associated with those. Many of them are due in the fall. October is a big monitoring month for us. But typically it's kind of a standard protocol, and after, for any of our projects within our company that are shoreline stabilization projects, typically after we have some sort of storm event, whether it just be high winds, or winds coupled with, moon tides or
Hurricane Erin.
Hurricane Erin, nor'easters, and depending on, how they're coming at the Cape, so to speak, as a company, we actually go and we do what we call storm checks. Often they're not required in orders of conditions, but we do them because it's a part of our active monitoring program for our shoreline stabilization projects. So we do check on these types of projects more frequently than once a year. We also do actively maintain this. So in this particular project, there isn't much for an invasive species management component or anything, but we are there a few times during the season, as well as after storm events, and that is how we kind of collect data more than just one time a year to complete those annual monitoring reports.
I also want to add that your application, your document, your drawing is very good.
Thank you.
Yeah, really.
Yes.
It has.
I have very good, by trade, I'm a landscape architect. There are also 2 other landscape architects that work in my office for me, as well as a wealth of restoration designers, and they're very good. I'm very fortunate to have thorough, intelligent people.
Anybody else? Comments, questions?
I went out to see the properties, and they're very, very nice, with the work you've done already. But I did notice that a lot of the vegetation is pretty good on those banks.
Yeah, it's starting to come in. It's starting to come in, especially in places where we haven't had a lot of that rack pile up a little higher especially.
Well, I didn't want you to disturb any of that with putting another roll in there in the areas where it looked like it didn't need anything.
Yep.
Are you going to do that? Just put it where you feel it was necessary, or are you going to continue this roll?
No, so it's only for a portion of the property as it's shown on the plan, and it would be set higher up than the existing. So it's really, this work, we would do this work from the top of the bank. It wouldn't make sense for us in this particular field condition for us to be below any of that installation for any reason. So we would be working from the limit of work shown basically in the lawn area, or where there's the rugosa rose at the top. So that rugosa rose, because it is undercut, and so in order to install a fiber roll successfully, we will need to kind of peel that kind of lip of soil back so that we have a good platform, so to speak, for us to install that fiber roll and then duckbill anchor it in. So then the top will get revegetated with native rose versus the rugosa.
And with the rack line, yeah, just have that only within I know it's a lot was in there, but it shouldn't be taken out lower than the work line, because
No.
it might affect the salt marsh.
Correct. It's only where we're trying to establish plantings on the fiber roll installation or the bank itself. Yes.
Anybody else? We hear a motion to accept the plan?
Hi, David.
Oh, I'm
I actually
sorry, I
have one
forgot my
question.
friend Brittany. I have just,
have a question.
I want to go home. No, we're going to go to Bradford first.
Sorry, with that rack removal, I may have missed it, but is it being taken off-site, or is it going to be put back into just kind of pushed down off of the bank?
We would take it off-site. In this case, there's a very healthy salt marsh growing in conjunction, so we also wouldn't want to leave it or pile it in a different resource area, so to speak. So in this case, we would want to be able to just literally walk down the access path. We probably bring the landscaper green barrels. We have a bunch of those, and it would just simply be raked or removed by hand off the areas where we've planted plugs, or we did plant a bunch of high tide bush down there. The owners of both properties very much enjoy high tide bush, so we added a bunch, especially to 170, and it was doing really well the last time I was there. And that also does kind of help catch some of the rack, which is helpful. But the intent would be to haul it out in barrels and to dispose of it off of the coastal bank in newly planted areas.
Okay, thank you. I just wanted to make sure you weren't just turning around and dumping it on the marsh.
No.
I didn't think that, but I just wanted to clarify.
Yes, definitely. Great question, especially when a lot of landscapers are very good at taking grass clippings and dumping them and things like that. Fortunately, we're not landscapers.
Now Now Brittany can go.
Brittany, now
Yeah,
you may.
my comment was similar. I would just wish that you, as a condition, I prefer the removal instead of the sand fence so that we're not just relocating that rack back onto this rack accumulation line that'll get pushed onto this really nice bit of salt marsh over here. But other than that, and plus monitoring reports, I appreciate the work on this. Thank you.
Anybody in the audience have a comment on this? No? Anybody online, on Zoom? I don't see a hand raised, so now I can take a motion.
I'll motion to approve the amended order.
Second? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Obviously not. Thank you. Now I have to read the next one. All right.
You saying anything?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, now the same thing, one door down. Gotta circle that.
Okay, so now we're doing, let me just find it, there it is. And, okay. SE 83 2496, that's not the right one. Yes, it is. Crawford Land Management for Eleanor Atchison, 170 Pleasant Street, proposed coastal stabilization expansion with additional fiber rolls in the riverfront area, land subject to coastal storm flooding and coastal bank. I guess, go ahead.
Jennifer Crawford from Crawford Land Management here for the applicant. So obviously the next door property, on this property, excuse me, the permit that I believe it's either been closed or it was with the pier permit, I'm not sure. But there were fiber rolls that were approved with that. My company did not install those, but we would intend to install these and to have it connect with the neighboring property. It's a similar situation, so I won't explain it again. It's the same stretch of shoreline, the same type of scarp and erosion towards the top that is exhibited on the neighboring property that we just discussed. In this case, the bank in one portion of the property is slightly taller, so there's a section where we've proposed to add 2 fiber rolls high versus just 1, but it's the same methodology. It would actually, there's not a separate access or construction access or maintenance access. It is proposed to be from the 162B property, so there's only one for both projects. And there is a small area of vegetation that would be disturbed because, again, we would do this work from the top. And so we have proposed to replace that, again, with some of the native rose and some of the northern bayberry. And then for both projects, I didn't mention, but we have a number of different herbaceous plug species, both appropriate for high marsh areas as well as American beach grass for higher up areas. So if you have specific questions about this one, I will again do my best to answer them.
Can you show the pictures that we took, or you took?
Yeah.
I think my question has to do with what Pat asked. I think
From
there's
when
some,
we were standing on the dock.
yeah. It's on the other side of the
Yeah, right here.
dock. Looked like there was some good growth there. Are we gonna lose that?
To install, if this is pictures taken where I believe it is, to install fiber rolls along the top, we would need to lose some of that. And I do apologize, I'm covering for one of my designers tonight, so I am not familiar with the vegetation that is growing in that picture, and I don't have my glasses on.
It's Virginia rose and bayberry.
It is, that's what I thought, yeah, which would make sense as to why that was
Replanting.
included on the plans to put back. My assumption is that that some of that vegetation is potentially undercut underneath that, but I don't know that for a fact. But the answer to your question is yes, we would need to remove some of that in order to install a fiber roll there and then replant the area.
Okay.
That's correct.
Anybody else have questions? Brittany?
No, thank you.
Anybody in the audience? I didn't think so. Anybody on Zoom? No. Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, all in favor of accepting? Aye. Anybody opposed? No? All right. Thank you
Thank you.
for your clarity and,
I'm glad this could be
Piece of cake, walk in the
a
park.
great exchange. Have a good
Thanks,
evening.
Jen.
Thank you very much.
okay.
Get some signature.
Yes, I'm just seeing where I am.
Appreciate a more specific motion in the future, not just a motion. For the lawyers.
You want me to reread the sheet? Is that what you said?
No, just like, I move to issue an order of conditions with special conditions.
What are we moving, you mean?
Okay. All right, we are on to 635 West Jarmuth Road, am I right?
Yes.
Okay, here we're waiting for DEP number, but can certainly listen to what you have to say, and we'll see what we want to do from there.
You have Mike on Zoom?
Yeah, you gotta read it into the record.
Yes, of course. Goodard Consulting LLC for Josh Lyon, Town of Yarmouth Golf, 635 West Yarmouth Road, Bayberry Hills Golf Course, proposed herbicide treatment of invasive and nuisance vegetation within 3 irrigation ponds and land under water bodies. Can you introduce yourself? And
Hi, my name is Josh Lyon, head golf and ground superintendent for the Town of Yarmouth Golf Division.
online is?
Mike from Solitude.
Mike, you there?
Is Mike there?
Yes, Mike's muted. There he goes.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yeah, thank you, Mike. Michael, you want to explain the?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yep, absolutely. Thank you again. I will apologize quickly. I'm trying to get over a cold, so if you need me to repeat anything, please let me know. Again, my name is Mike Tartaglia. I'm here on behalf of Josh Lyon and the golf course. We were contracted by Josh to perform 2 different aspects of herbicide treatment. We'll focus on the Phragmites portion initially, and then we'll move into plans for next year. We were originally contacted by Josh to perform a 3-year management program of Phragmites throughout Bayberry Hills Golf Course. The reason for the 3-year treatment period is Phragmites is very tough to contain and overwinters really well. So in our experience, multiple years of continued control is required in order to substantially reduce any Phragmites growth within the golf course. Phragmites spreads very easily, can certainly limit recreation, which is our number one concern on the golf course. And then for future years, we would also like to initiate a monthly service plan with the golf course. This would target the 3 ponds that they have on site. During these visits, a licensed aquatic technician from Solitude would visit all 3 ponds, do preliminary surveys on all of the ponds, and on an as-needed basis would apply herbicides and or algicides to the pond to combat any nuisance or invasive species found. The nice thing about this program is it is more reactionary than anything. It allows us to get a baseline of the golf course ponds throughout the year, so we can kind of see growth trends in any sort of plants that they might have in those ponds, and it will help, one, make the ponds look better for the golf course. Ponds are Very important for the eye aspect of any golf course, as well as function. If any of the ponds are used for irrigation, then the irrigation will not be clogged with algae and or pondweed. I'm here to answer any questions you may have, and thank you very much.
So,
Do you want to add?
yeah, I'd like to add to that. These 3 ponds that we're talking about, I think the 2 of them on Bayberry that you see in the picture here, these are all lined man-made ponds. None of these are native or natural ponds. The one on top that you see in the previous picture with the duckweed and the algae in it, that's our irrigation pond. So where you see the clear spot, that's our wells pumping water into the pond. We're also pumping water from the septic treatment plant. So we use a high percentage of reclaimed water, recycled water from the septic treatment plant. That's what this outflow is here. That's coming directly from the septic treatment plant. So I just wanted to, reiterate that these ponds are lined ponds. They're not a native natural pond. They are ponds at this point, but they're basically retention ponds for our irrigation. That's all I need to add at this point.
Anybody have any questions?
Just a quick one. It's probably ignorance on my part. You mentioned, Brittany, in your notes about buffers, and what kind of buffers are we talking about on these ponds? I wasn't clear.
Right now, it's just the Phragmites. And so at this pond, that's the irrigation pond, there's this Phragmites, and then there's one layer of some pretty tall small trees, large shrubs, and those are going to remain, right? These trees.
For the time being. And, if, in the future, if that getting more sunlight in there would help keep these ponds healthy, then that may be something we would look at. But for now, yes.
Okay. But in the removal of the Phragmites, I would like to see some sort of seed going down to create more of a natural buffer to get the edge filtering through some grasses so we're not seeing surface flow into the ponds to reduce your nitrogen and other nutrients.
Right, that's understood, or I understand that once the Phragmites is gone, there is a good amount of native plants between the golf course, between the rough turf grass and the pond. So I think that's something that we definitely take a look at and make work.
Okay.
That was Ellie's question, so.
Yeah, so that was the buffer. Okay, I got it.
Anybody else, questions? Brittany? Oh, sorry.
Not so much a...
Keep ignoring you.
It's okay. I'm quiet today. Not so much a question, but more of a comment. I think with those, if you're going to be removing the buffer, the Phragmites, I think we'd like to see some sort of planting plan or what you propose to put in there to replace them so they don't grow back. I understand you want to allow the that natural buffer to grow in, but we'd want to see some sort of mitigation planting as well.
Yeah, sounds good to me. I mean, like I said, we have, as the Phragmites have grown in, we like, again, there is native plants there. So we'll see that come back once Phragmites is gone. But yeah, obviously we can work with Brittany and conservation and put in native buffers.
I would also like to add that Solitude, as part of our contractual obligations, will be mulching this Phragmites after the initial treatment, and that will further allow for more native plants to grow. It will act as fertilizer instead of just removing the plant altogether.
I'm not familiar with that strategy. Excuse me. I thought it's my understanding that Phragmites is best managed through cut and wipe or bundle and wipe or injection. So it was nowhere in your management document that you were going to mulch the stems. You're not going to cut them and remove them from the site?
So they initially would be cut. I do not believe we would be removing them. It is certainly something that we have done in the past and can look into. However, we have used with great success the mulching technique After initial treatment, all of the seeds will not be viable. And then we have a both with hand cutters and a larger machine that's basically a glorified lawnmower. We can certainly access these areas and mulch this product so that it does not spread in any way, shape, or form.
Okay, if that's the proposal, I would request that you please add that to your description of the work in your narrative. I'm fine with that if we're doing monitoring so we can see that strategy success, but it needs to be reflected in your proposal.
And Dave, what length of time and temperature do you reach while you're composting so that you kill the seeds?
I don't think he didn't propose composting.
I'm sorry, I can't hear any questions if they may be coming right now.
You have to repeat your thing. Move closer to your mic.
Oh, okay. You said you're treating the Phragmites. You're not composting? What do you-
Correct. This will be done with a herbicide spray utilizing the herbicide glyphosate. We'll use the specific product Aquaneat, and that will be applied in a foliar spray in September, October, with cutting likely November, December.
So, okay, I misunderstood. So you're not composting, but you're just getting that result, killing the seeds and so forth.
Correct. And then once the plants are not viable anymore, they will be mulched on site. And we can certainly
Oh, I
look
see.
into
Okay.
removal as well.
Could you also, you mentioned eutrophication. Do you know how many years left if those ponds are going to be eutrophic? How many years before they fill in, and or what do you do so that you don't allow that to happen? This is just more of a curiosity, but.
Certainly difficult to say. It really depends on individual ponds. However, especially in the man-made ponds that this golf course has, where there's not a lot of, when they're first made, there's not or any growth. With runoff and everything, it certainly lends itself to additional algae and duckweed growth, and then from there, larger plants will spread in. So it would tend to eutrophy quicker than, say, a natural pond.
That's, okay, thanks.
Michael, did you hear what Brittany asked to do with the?
I did not.
Okay, Brittany, can you hear her now? I don't know if your mic's on. Might have died.
It may also be my laptop, to be quite honest, but I heard the last question sufficiently.
Give us 1 second, Michael.
Yep, no worries.
Can you hear me now?
Yep.
Okay, it must have died. I don't think I have a lot of time left, but. Okay, I'll swap them out after this. So I just asked for some edits to the plan that you provided to include your specific treatment of the Phragmites, like you said, foliar spray and foliar spray and timing, plus the mulch. And I think Bradford mentioned we'd like to see a planting plan to replace the Phragmites buffer. And I wanted to clarify, duckweed's not in your list of target species, but you are going to be targeting duckweed. Is that correct?
It's really open-ended. That's why we will have the monthly visiting program. That's why we listed the herbicides that we did. They are relatively universal in conducting against typical pond weeds, algae, and duckweed that we find in these systems. I believe we listed diquat, flumioxazin, liquid copper, and the glyphosate salt for the Phragmites. So the flumioxazin would be used to treat the duckweed if it was necessary.
I guess I'm a little confused on your target species because you're saying you don't know. Are you trying to base your target species on a reactive survey for treatment?
Yes, all target species are based off of a initial survey. Surveys will all be conducted on a monthly basis with treatment following thereafter if necessary.
Okay, so we'll just need you to submit those surveys to us so that we can determine or approve the treatment plan since we can't do it now.
I think I lost you again.
Brittany was asking if you could please submit those survey results to the commission so that we can review them and approve the mitigation plan.
Certainly. The original survey was supposed to take place next year if approved in April. I can certainly send a technician out probably next week to go take a look at the state of the ponds currently. I did have somebody visit the ponds in May, and they noted pond weeds as well as filamentous algae and a little bit of duckweed. That's why we originally geared this around those three plant types. However, I can certainly give you some more updated information if you require it.
Yes, thank you. As you can see, I don't know if you can see this photo, but the irrigation pond is completely covered in duckweed at this point. There, you can't see any water.
Yeah, yep. And that's to be expected with duckweed, and especially when there's no outflow really to any of these man-made ponds. So, that just helps our case for the monthly visits so that we can stop total nuisance species like that earlier in the year.
Yeah, a question, I'm not sure who to direct it to. How does the fact that you said that these are man-made ponds and I heard you say they had a liner?
They're lined ponds. It's like a pool.
Line
It's a
meaning
22
what?
millimeter. Excuse me?
2 mil liner, so how
It's
do,
like a 22 millimeter pond liner. It's like
okay. So how does that factor into or does it factor into the replanting to the replanting and what that detail would be?
Yeah, that's something that we certainly have to look at. Usually these liners sort of come up and they go back down under.
Yeah.
So there would be, once a Phragmites is gone, Phragmites is typically on some organic material that's built up on the liner.
Yeah.
So beyond that, like I said, usually there is native plants there. Usually there's nothing bare on those banks.
Well, what are you going to plant in, I guess is my question.
Well, we've worked with Brittany before. We have an architect who comes up with these things.
I mean, I prefer that you submit the planting plan when you revise the plan so that the commission can review it. Because we can't vote on it tonight because the DEP hasn't issued their permit number. If you can include a buffer with, a native seed mix or shrubs or whichever you prefer, so that the commission can approve the plan.
You need a soil mix, right, for the replanting? I mean, what is that?
There's soil there.
Okay.
So the liner is beneath some soil at this point, right?
Where you saw the outflow from the septic plant,
Yeah.
the liner's right there. That's hitting, there's some stone on the liner, so it doesn't disrupt it.
It's hitting the liner?
Well, no, see the stone on top of the liner?
Okay, over here?
No, right where the water comes out, that's a stone.
Okay.
See where the water's coming out of the pipe.
Yeah.
So there's stone there to protect the liner. So that's where the liner is. You see to the right, there are species there
Plants.
that are not Phragmites. Not in a drought year, that might be thicker.
And the liner doesn't extend as high as these large shrubs on the side.
Correct. It would go back deeper there.
Yeah.
That might be difficult, that's all. We'd probably need to know
I-
what the plan is.
Yeah, we need to know what you're planting. Probably seed mix is fine.
Perfect.
I just have one question, and I don't know if you can answer it, but, one of the plans with the new sewage treatment plan is to take some of the water and put it into your irrigation pond. Are they putting it into the other two ponds too? And how does that affect any of this, if at all?
So right now, we are taking reclaimed septage, not from the septic treatment plant, not from the sewer treatment plant. Those going to the upper pond. There is an idea. I say these plans with wastewater have been changing daily.
Yeah.
To perhaps, they're looking for us to store some more water. So the lower pond you see there would be expanded, maybe expanded.
Okay.
Right. So right now, also, with the septic treatment plan, that's on the town's discharge permit from the treatment plant. So they sort of manage that end of it. That's permit, that is not really on the golf department as such. They do sampling on the golf course. Anyways. So right now that reclaimed septic goes in the upper pond, there is an overflow where it could go into lower pond. It doesn't. We don't like to fill that up because we're not able to pump water out of that right now. There's not a pump in there. So we keep that as is.
Okay.
I don't know if that answered your question.
Yeah, it
but-
does. Anybody else have a question? Nobody in the audience, I assume, has a question? And nobody online has a question? Okay, now can we ask for a motion to accept with, what is it?
We have
Well,
to
we can't.
continue.
We have to motion to continue, because we don't have all the information. Jack, anybody second?
I'll second.
Bradford second?
Do we need to choose a date to continue to?
Yeah, our next meeting is on the 18th. We usually need revised materials a week before. Can you get the revised scope of work and planting buffer plan by next Thursday?
That should be doable. My colleague at Goddard will be the one putting that together, but I will get in touch with him tomorrow and we'll see what we can put together for you.
Okay, great. So we'll continue to the 18th.
Okay, so motions to the.
And would you mind just sending me a email quickly with all of the details that you would like us to change?
Of course.
Just so I can forward that over to him.
Definitely.
All in favor of continuing?
Aye.
Nobody opposed? Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Thanks for
Thank you
your
very
do.
much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
You feel better?
Thank you.
Okay. Next is the SE 83-2174, James Jooms, 49 Doherty Lane, COC. You want to give us a little background here?
Yeah, so for certificate of compliance requests, I'll give you background of the site. Are you the homeowner? Okay. So my colleague Joe did a site visit. This as-built plan was submitted hand-drawn by Ron Cadillac, who is now retired. So he had to hand-draw it instead of using CAD. And the original permit did require a swale on 3 sides of the property. A swale was not observed, but the site was observed to be generally flat with a very minor slope around the side. One of these photos shows the gentle slope. And so the swale was intended to keep stormwater on site. It is a grass lawn. Here you can see the very gentle slope of the yard. Since no swales were present, it is a deviation from the original order of conditions, but I'm not sure. The original permit is now also expired, so in order to authorize additional work, we would have to issue an enforcement order for them to put the swales in and disturb the soil. At this point, I do think that the site is flat enough where stormwater is not significantly leaving the site. Do you agree with that?
Yes, I agree. The walls have been in place for several years, and there hasn't been any observed runoff over the walls or erosion on the property.
Okay. And there were a couple of minor concerns from Joe. We just need to see some gravel put under the deck for drainage over this liner fabric, and some debris cleaned up around the property.
Yeah, that work will be completed this weekend. We're having the gravel delivered tomorrow. So
Okay.
the gravel will be placed under the rear deck tomorrow and Friday. I mean, over the weekend, that will be completed.
Okay. Here's some other photos of the site. And just for some background, this side of the property abuts town. The side with the wall abuts the town-owned land, right? Yeah. And it's also the velocity flood zone on the other side of the wall, but the wall was approved. And so with the minor deviation of leaving off the swale where one was originally required due to the lack of need of the swale, in my belief, but I'm not an engineer. I would request, though, that Ron submit an updated as-built plan, because he did put the swales on there, even though they don't exist. And so my recommendation to the board would be to issue the certificate of compliance pending removal of the debris, the gravel, and an updated as-built plan.
And trash cleanup, you said?
And trash cleanup, yeah.
Okay. Anybody have any questions? Do I hear a motion to approve the COC with those conditions?
So moved.
So moved. Pat, second. All in favor?
Aye.
Does that work for you?
Yes, it does. Thank you.
Thank you. I can contact Ron, or you can. We just need to get a proper as-built plan for the file.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks for your patience.
No problem.
Hope you found it interesting.
I was sweating it there.
Try not to be too mean all the time. Okay, our next is the approval of meeting minutes from last meeting, August 21st. I read them. Did anybody else read them? Anybody have any issues with them? No, they were done perfectly.
Wow, thanks.
I make a motion that we accept those.
Okay.
Second that.
Second by Ellie. All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? No. Okay. Any other new business not normally anticipated?
I think there's, no, CPA applications are due tomorrow. I think there have been 7 submitted. There will be public hearings on that later in October. We do have an application in, and I believe there is a public hearing for the zoning amendment soon.
Yeah, I just got that in the mail today.
Is that tomorrow night?
Zoning.
The two zoning, one for the lobster person and one for the boats.
Okay, the public hearing is on September 20th at 5:30 in the hearing room. And that's all I have.
Yeah. So, it says accessory apartment. You're talking about 2023 there. You've got the
Oh,
wrong
no.
one.
Well, that was a bad Google search.
I know about the lot. Yeah,
The
what's the
boat
boat
one
one?
is, right now, I think the zoning is you have to put your boat in the backyard. Well, some people don't have a backyard to put a boat in. So it's to amend it so that people in a situation where they can't put a boat in the backyard, they can put it in their driveway and certain items that you have to do.
Could I amend that slightly?
Can I just say the correct hearing date is September 17th at 5:30 in the hearing room?
Right.
Sorry.
So that's the right year and
Yes,
everything.
2025.
You have to have your boat behind the corner of the front corner of your house.
That's what the
On the
present
side,
is.
that's the present.
Right, and the new one is
Proposed.
allowing to be in the
Well-
driveway, because some people don't have a side of the house or a back. For example, I don't own a boat, but if I did, I'd have no place to put it. And the other one is
Lobster
is allowing fishermen who
Do it.
catch their own lobsters be able to sell out of their house.
Yes.
Very specific. I mean, I couldn't sell your lobsters, Jack. I can only sell mine, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and mainly because the state health regulations have so much requirements for other kind of selling other kind of things,
Yeah.
that they limited it just to the lobster.
Yeah, so,
Wasn't there a big public outcry to that?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
this is not going to go well.
It's not, I have
You
no
won't know
comment
unless
on
you
that.
don't go, so.
public outcry was the fact they wouldn't let him sell out of his house. So this
Oh, they
resolves that problem.
Okay, I got it.
Whether he
Okay.
wants to stay there or not, because from what I understand, he's doing better where he is, but.
Is that right? You've heard that?
That's what he told
He's on
somebody.
28, isn't he?
He's right on 28.
Because people drive by 28, oh, lobsters.
Other,
And they've also limited signage in the new bylaws, so I don't know how that'll affect his, because he's way off the main road, so. Anyway, nice guy, I bought lobster from him once.
We can learn more about it on September 17th.
yeah, exactly.
And that's it. Anybody else?
Nope.
I just want to thank you all for being so patient with the farm, and I think we did the best we could, and we'll see what happens.
Yeah, well,
You might want to wait. Okay, so I need a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
So moved by Bradford, seconded by Paul. It's all in favor?
Aye.
We are closed at 7:18. We're still on the air, though, right now.
Recording stopped.